What's up, guys? Sean Fowler here. As you see, it's football times, January 20th, 2022. Happy New Year. Glad to be back. It's been a while since we got to talk last time. It was, I believe, probably September-ish, October-ish of 2021. But we're back again. And this is the best part of the year because it's football season. Yes, it's a new year. Again, Happy New Year to everyone. Hopefully, everyone's having a great year so far. And, but at the same time, I'm talking football, I'm talking NFL football. We see it there, the division round. And look, I love football, obviously, particularly the NFL is my favorite sport. And this is literally the best part of the season for me, the best part of the year, I should say, for me. I know this began, but because it's NFL playoffs, the division round, you got the top 8 teams. We got the Titans versus the Bengals, the Packers, 49ers, Bucks, Rams, Chiefs, Bills as well. And it's the top 8 teams. These are the teams that, okay, we could probably make a bet who's going to make the Super Bowl. It's not the pretending teams. I hate to say it, that Philadelphia Eagles who snuck in the 7th seed, teams who had a losing record that got in and got blown out when they first got into the wild card, matchup like the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Chiefs. And a lot of people said last week's games weren't really that competitive. It was a lot of blowouts. So with these top 8 teams, these are the real teams. These are the real guys. These are the real men who's okay. You know what? That could be Super Bowl MVP right there. These are the real teams that's going to be in there and competing. So again, I'm excited. I'm excited again for this weekend. 48 hours from now, we'll be probably finishing our first football game of playoff football of this divisional round. And again, I'm excited to see who's going to win and who's going to lose and the whole dramatics that the NFL has. So starting with the first game, Cincinnati Bengals traveling to the Tennessee Titans. Okay. Again, congrats to the Cincinnati Bengals of last week. They ended up getting their first playoff win in the last, I believe, 30 or 31 years against the Las Vegas Raiders, 26-19. It was a good game. It was a good game by Joe Burrow and Joe Mixon and, of course, Jamar Chase. But I'm going to start off to the keys to victory for each team. And, what I feel like if they do these things, they should end up being successful. So I believe for the keys to victory for the Tennessee Titans, again, they're the 1 seed, right? Even though they're playing the first game on the Saturdays, it's kind of odd. Being a 1 seed usually have the prime time games, but hey, it is what it is. So the Tennessee Titans, I believe they got to establish a run game. Derrick Henry, to me, one of the, if not the best running back in the NFL. He's a game time decision, I should say. I was going to say it's a possibility he should be active, but I think it's a game time decision. Coach Mike Vrabel wants to see how he continues to do in practice, and just how healthy is he? But again, you still got to establish that run game. I believe for Ryan Tannehill, which is the Tennessee Titans quarterback who's been having a subpar year, 21 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. That's pretty high on the interceptions, but he's having an okay year. His last 10 games though, 7 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's good. He's more considered like a game managing quarterback. But again, he's been in the league for over, I believe this is probably his 10th or 11th year. So he understands when it comes to playoff football, he can't turn the football over. So again, when it comes towards the Tennessee Titans weapons, AJ Brown, I think he's a top 10 receiver in today's game as well. He reminds me of a younger Julio Jones, even though we see the current Julio Jones on the other side of him. And the good thing for the Tennessee Titans, though, is that Julio's healthy. And I say Julio's healthy because we know, honestly, for half of Julio's career, he's always battled injuries. But when he's on the field and he's actually there and getting involved, I still think Julio Jones, he can still be a threat. I'm not gonna say he's the top 5 receiver right now, even when he's healthy, because we just don't know sometimes, with the chemistry with Ryan Tannehill because he's been in and out the lineup. But Julio Jones, him being healthy and him giving his first touchdown reception last week in Week 18, I believe it's against the Houston Texans, if I'm not mistaken. That was big. That was big. It's good for his confidence. It's good for Ryan Tannehill's confidence specifically because now I got another weapon, Julio Jones as well, who can who can continue to get involved on top of AJ Brown. And again, Derrick Henry, even if he does play, I don't see him getting 30 to 35 carries like he might, like he probably would if he were healthy. He's still, he's obviously, if it's a game time decision, the coaches don't know necessarily if he's ready to go as of yet. So I still see him if he does play probably 15 to 20 carries. Him and I believe it's Deontay Freeman splitting carries with that. But when it comes towards the other team, Cincinnati Bengals, hey, it's about them. It's about running the ball with Joe Mixon, and it's about I'm just gonna say this. It's about the Joe Show. Joe Mixon, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, the Triple J's. They used to call it the Triple B's back in Pittsburgh. I'm calling it the Triple J's, and it's really about what Joe Burrow can do. It's his second year. He's really impressive. Last week, again, this is a game against the Las Vegas Raiders. He was impressive. He threw 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, had over 200, I believe, in 50 passing yards, and he was just efficient. He just did what he had to do. He didn't turn the ball over. Just like I mentioned, Ryan Tannehill, he can't turn the ball over. He's a veteran quarterback. He knows better. I believe it should be the same thing for Joe Burrow. And I'll be honest, I wasn't that much of a believer in Joe Burrow at first. I believe people kind of overrated him. I know what he did in LSU, the national championship games a couple years ago. He threw for 11 touchdowns, I believe, in one game. In one game, he threw 11 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. So I understand he was a high prospect, coming out of college just a couple years ago. But last year, he was injured. He had a subpar year, I believe. And I was really worried about that ACL that he tore. And he kind of gets beat up in the pocket as well. But he's a tough guy. I gotta give him his credit. He had over 4,400 passing yards this year, 34 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. I have to emphasize 34 touchdowns because although it's an extra game, 17 games in a regular season, that's still a lot of touchdowns for a second-year player who's really, for the first time in his career, completed a full season. 14 interceptions as well. It's kind of high, but again, you got that extra game, and this is a guy who's still learning, how to be a quarterback at the elite level in the NFL. So I got to give him his credit, man. And in the last 3 games, 10 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's amazing. And one of those 3 games against the Kansas City Chiefs, who obviously we know is a threat to make the Super Bowl once again out of that conference. And they came back and beat the Chiefs in that game. And he threw 525 yards and 4 touchdowns. Now, personally, guys, for those that know, I'm a big fantasy football player as well. The online game, and that it kind of rubbed me the wrong way because my older cousin ended up killing me in that the fantasy Super Bowl. I made the championship, and Jamar Chase went off for I think 250 yards and 3 touchdowns. So I hate even talking about that game because I end up losing. I'm losing some money and I'm losing that fantasy championship. But we could talk about that another time. So with the Bengals, though, again, Joe Burrow, I'm impressed on what he's been doing this NFL season. I definitely give him his credit. He earns it. He earned it. And, I'm excited to see, the future from here. Again, Joe Mixon, I'm a big fan of his as well. He runs the ball hard. I think they got to continue to, get him involved. Tennessee Titans understand they're going to try to get Jamar Chase involved early. That's their best weapon. To me, arguably, that's the best 1-2 combo when it comes to his quarterback, the receiver in the NFL. That includes DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray. Wendy Hopkins is healthy. Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson. These are some really good combos, quarterback to receiver duos in the league. But I think arguably Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow this year, definitely the best quarterback to receiver duo. So, but if I had to pick the game, Sean, who are you going to pick for this game? I still got to say the Tennessee Titans. I think when push comes to shove, it's going to be on experience. I think they have a better coach than Mike Vrabel as well. And they just been there. They went to the AFC Championship 2 years ago. The Tennessee Titans, that is, lost to the Chiefs, was up 10-0 at first, ended up losing that game. In the second half, they went to the playoffs last year, lost against Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens in a thriller, in a thrilling game last year. But this is a team who, they got the first round bye for a reason. And this is without Derrick Henry for half the season. So I got to go with Tennessee with this one. They're going to be at home. And I just expect them to, be victorious and go to the AFC Championship once again. But that being said, that's transitioning to the next game. And the next game is going to be between the San Francisco 49ers and also the Green Bay Packers, the Saturday night game. I'm excited for this one. Really excited for this one because, again, San Francisco, for any Cowboy fans that are there, San Francisco, obviously they end up defeating the Dallas Cowboys in a shocker. I had the San Francisco 49ers losing to Dallas, but since we're seeing it right here, the keys to victory for San Francisco is getting Deebo Samuel involved. As you see here, he pretty much destroyed the Cowboys. I believe he's a better version of – I don't even want to say better version. I'm just going to say a Cordell Patterson, the Atlanta Falcons star running back / receiver / returner. That's something like Deebo Samuel. He can do it all as well. It's getting him the ball in the backfield, getting him involved in reverses, the pass plays. I think he can throw the football as well. So as you see here, the key to victory for the San Francisco 49ers is just, you know, keeping your pace. Do what got you here. Obviously they got Jimmy G. He's not necessarily the most prolific quarterback. He's not going to throw the ball all over the place. He's not that type of quarterback. He's more of a game managing quarterback. But hey, you know, again, it's about doing what got you there. And I believe they can be successful as far as that. And just run the football. Run the football, getting the play action involved, giving Deebo Samuel, some whether some gadget players or just feeding him the football. I believe they can shut down or at least keep Aaron Rodgers off the field and continue to waste time, waste the clock like they did against the Dallas Cowboys in the first half. And again, keep Aaron Rodgers off the field and methodically drive down the field and put points on the board. I think that's the biggest thing is it starts with the offense with again keeping their own pace, getting Deebo the ball, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, if that's how you pronounce his name, I believe, number 11, the receiver on the team. And just, methodically going down the field and putting points on the board each time you have a possession because we understand what Aaron Rodgers are going to try to do. It's at Green Bay. It's a Saturday night. They had the bye. It's arguably an MVP season from Aaron Rodgers once again. And, they should win. But I believe this could be a trap game, though. The last 3 times Aaron Rodgers has faced the San Francisco 49ers, although they haven't always been the same team, hey, they lost. He's 0-3. He lost twice against Colin Kaepernick. He lost 2 years ago in the NFC Championship game, going to, I believe, is Levi Stadium. Traveling to San Francisco and getting blown out as well. So Aaron Rodgers doesn't necessarily have the best success when it comes towards seeing that red and gold across from in the San Francisco 49ers. But all that being said, I still got the Green Bay Packers, man. I got them winning this game. I just think it's Aaron Rodgers' year. I think they're finally going to make the Super Bowl. And I just think it's because of his confidence. Aaron Rodgers came into this offseason basically having no filter. He's like, he had that 30-minute press conference, historic, I should say. And he was like, I'm back here. I'm ready for training camp. And, it was a lot of stuff that was happening wrong in the offseason. And he was basically just saying he put some respect on his name. He wants to have more say-so on who gets drafted. His weapons that's coming in and things in the past, he didn't have that say-so. So all that, when you hear that from your quarterback, he's going all in this year. And I just believe the Packers, I don't think they're going to choke away this game on a Saturday night, the first game in their first playoff game this year. I think, I just believe he's gonna show up to the table and he should end up getting the victory. I do think it could be a close game, but I still got Aaron Rodgers and the Packers winning this one. So that being said, it's transition into the Sunday games, the 3:00 game, the showdown in Tampa Bay, and that's going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers hosting the Los Angeles Rams. Now, guys, I'm excited. This is probably the most exciting game. Okay, I'll say it's the second most exciting game because you'll see the next game I'm about to talk about. That's my most exciting one. But the Los Angeles Rams hosting against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Excuse me, vice versa. Tampa Bay Buccaneers hosting the Los Angeles Rams. I'm excited for that one because it's Stafford, Odell, Sean McVay, Von Miller, Aaron Donald. Who's going to be successful in this game? Who's going to be the real deal? Who's going to step up to the plate and actually get their second playoff victory of all time? And I'm saying as far as Matthew Stafford and Odell Beckham Jr. It was a great game by Matthew Stafford and the team last week, or I should say this past weekend, Monday night against the Arizona Cardinals. I thought that was a toss-up game. And I said on the Jessica Network as well, that's the other sports that I'm on, I said the Los Angeles Rams have the most pressure coming into the season simply because they went out and basically bought a Super Bowl. They got Odell Beckham Jr. halfway through the season. They got a Von Miller a quarter through the season. They traded away all the draft picks so they can get Matthew Stafford and some of these other guys. They got Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald, again, Von Miller and these guys. So when you build a Super Bowl team, you have to make the Super Bowl. If you don't make the Super Bowl, I believe for that team and who they're coached by, then I just think it's a down year. So it doesn't matter that they're facing a Tom Brady team. They have to be victorious, this weekend. So, again, I'm going to show some throws from Matthew Stafford this past week because I believe it's going to end up really coming on him and him being successful if this team, wants to go to the next round, wants to go to an NFC championship, potentially, I think even host one if Green Bay ends up losing against San Francisco. So Matthew Stafford, I think he had a heck of a night. We see him connecting there to Tyler Higbee. And again, it's going to really be on him because that Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense with their defense getting healthy at the right time, they're arguably elite defense. We know Dominic Sue is there. We know a lot of these guys are going to be ready, step up to the plate. Whitehead and these guys. So it's really going to start with Matthew Stafford, I believe. If this team wants to win, I believe the Rams defense should travel well to going to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay doesn't have a lot of their weapons on the field right now. Antonio Brown, obviously, we know the the controversy that he had. Ended up quitting on the team essentially. Chris Godwin's been out for the year, and Leonard Fournette, he might have a game time decision as well. So we don't know if he's going to play either. So or Ronald Jones, their backup running back. So all that being said, I just think it's if the Rams really want to win this game, hey, it's right there. The dinner's on the table. You just got to go eat. You got to go eat. Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, I believe those guys are going to show up on defense. They're 2-0 against Tom Brady the last two seasons. They blew him out earlier this year, and they beat him last year as well in a Monday night game. So they have the pieces. It's just about, I believe, Matthew Stafford showing up, not turning the football over like he did a lot of the times. This year, I believe he has 15 interceptions this year, right around almost 40 touchdowns as well. So we know he's a gunslinging quarterback. He has the arm. He can do it. But it's just about him making the right decisions at the right time, and and not making mistakes. All that being said, though, when you're facing the GOAT and Tom Brady, it's you got to do your job. But at the same time, it's still the GOAT, man, and I got to give him respect. Respect is due. It's Tom Brady. He's still the GOAT. So I'm gonna show some clips from Tom Brady last week against the Philadelphia Eagles. I had to say it like that because they were terrible. They barely got in the playoffs, and it looked bad. It looked really bad. But again, these are some of the throws from the GOAT Tom Brady. And just checking it down on Mike Evans on a 5-yard shallow route. Is moving the chains. And I think the biggest thing with Brady is he's just poised, under pressure. We all know that. That's the reason. That's one of the biggest reasons he's the GOAT. A lot of these are, again, big third down conversions, and he's just methodically going down the field, taking what the defense gives him, and just being really successful at it and getting all his guys involved. Whether it's Rob Gronkowski, Mike Evans, some of these other younger receivers. So again, Tom Brady, when it comes towards picking this game, the Rams versus the Bucs, I understand you can't doubt Tom Brady because, again, he is the GOAT. He is the most experienced quarterback, to be honest, in NFL history. He has 7 rings, 10 Super Bowl appearances. This is his first time since he's been in Tampa Bay. He's actually hosting a playoff game other than the Super Bowl from last year and last week, obviously against Philadelphia. So how could you bet against Brady? But I just feel like because Antonio Brown isn't playing, Chris Godwin isn't playing, we don't know if Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones is going to end up playing these games. I still got to go with the Los Angeles Rams, man. I just think they're hungry. I think they might be a little bit more hungrier. All of them don't have a Super Bowl ring that I said. Matthew Stafford, Odell Beckham Jr., Aaron Donald, and Jalen Ramsey. A lot of those guys, Leonard Floyd, they don't have no ring. Some of them played in that Super Bowl against Tom Brady. Although it was against the New England Patriots, they still want some revenge because it's still the same quarterback leading the charge. So I got the Los Angeles Rams winning this one. I think it'll be a close game, but I think in the end they'll end up prevailing and winning this one. So I got the Los Angeles Rams winning that one in a close game. And finally, the Buffalo Bills traveling to the Kansas City Chiefs. I just like to call it Mahomes versus Josh Allen, okay? Mahomes versus Josh Allen because these two elite offenses, we've seen them play in the AFC Championship game last year. We already know what Patrick Mahomes is. Ever since he started, he's been a top 3 quarterback in the NFL when he first, this from his first full starting season in 2018, going to the AFC Championship game, losing against Tom Brady in the New England Patriots in an overtime game, followed by the next year going to the Super Bowl, excuse me, being the San Francisco 49ers. Following the next year after that, 2020, losing against Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the Super Bowl as well. So, this game against the Buffalo Bills, I think it should definitely be a close one. However, I mean, I think what makes this game so anticipating, at least for me, is because it's Mahomes and it's Josh Allen. And if we look at their stats, Mahomes has 37 touchdowns this year and 13 interceptions. I remember halfway through the season, like, oh, the Mahomes kind of lose it. Is he still as good as he was? But they went on that, I believe, 7-8 game winning streak, only losing against the Cincinnati Bengals before the season ended. And Mahomes is doing Mahomes things, throwing back across his body, hooking up with Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and these guys. And they look like the same Kansas City Chiefs, from of old. And also their defense was top 10, I believe, in the last half of the season as well. So, I'm really excited to see what the Chiefs do in this game. Are they still going to be the Chiefs? Is there a new heir apparent to the throne of Patrick Mahomes? There's a lot of guys saying Josh Allen might be that new thing. Is this the Brady and also Peyton Manning duel, as of old as well, between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes? So, again, this is just some of the highlights that Patrick Mahomes had last week. I ended up falling asleep. I didn't watch the second half. I heard he had like 5 touchdowns in 11 minutes of game time. And again, we just see that dart from Patrick Mahomes to Demarcus Robinson, to continue to move the chains. But it was really Patrick Mahomes, man. I mean, if he were to retire today, I think he's already a Hall of Famer with the stats that he has today. Just because he's just so special, man. He might be the most complete quarterback we've ever seen. Similar style to Aaron Rodgers, a little bit bigger, when it comes towards his size, but again, he can scramble. He has one of the strongest arms in the league. You got weapons such as Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Demarcus Robinson as well. Again, that's what makes him amazing as well, is that he can move the chains. That was a first and 15. He got an extra 15, already passing the sticks. So when it comes towards the Chiefs, keys to victory for them is continue to do what you do. Feed Travis Kelce the ball, move the chains. Get too greedy and turn the ball over. You see the underhand throw to Jared McKinnon right there, end up scoring the touchdown. But it's just about not turning over the football for Patrick Mahomes. Take what the defense gives you, and making the plays when you need to make it the most. And we've seen that from Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs every year. Is that, what, when everyone doubts him, he just rises to the occasion. We seen against the Houston Texans 2 years ago, being down 24-0 at the start of the second quarter. They end up taking the lead 28-24. Start of halftime. Again, it was 2 years ago against the Houston Texans, but the reason I give that example is because the Kansas City Chiefs know how to handle adversity when it comes in the playoffs, and that's why they're always a favorite coming into the season to make the Super Bowl, because when push comes to shove, this team knows how to step up, when it matters the most. So again, the Kansas City Chiefs, I believe it's just do what you normally do. Don't turn the ball over. Have those big play opportunities, but just most of all, try to contain Josh Allen the best you can, because I'm about to show his highlights now as well. So for the Chiefs, that's what they got to do. Not They are a high risk, high reward team, but at the same time, when it comes to this Bills defense, they're also, a high risk, high reward team, because their defense has been looking really good, these last few weeks, especially against the New England Patriots, who they blew out 47-17, and and in a very decisive win last Saturday night in the divisional, a divisional type of game against the New England Patriots. So, all that being said, I'm going to show some Josh Allen highlights, and I have an upset coming this week. I got the Buffalo Bills beating the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, I know I mentioned my fantasy playoffs earlier. I ended up making the Super Bowl in that, but I say that because I had Josh Allen. By me having Josh Allen, if I have these fantasy guys, I got to look each and every week to see what they're doing. I don't want to just check my game center and seeing how many points I got. I want to see him playing. I want to see what he's doing. I want to see the matchup. I want to watch the interviews and all those things. Josh Allen, man, he's been one of the better quarterbacks to me this year. Not as great as last year. Again, his numbers are really close to Patrick Mahomes as well. 36 touchdowns to 37 touchdowns for Patrick Mahomes. 15 interceptions for Josh Allen this year to 13 interceptions for Patrick Mahomes. But they both have well over 4,400 passing yards as well. And again, that's why I'm so excited for this matchup, because Josh Allen, to me today, when we're talking about the best dual threat quarterback, is Josh Allen. I think he has over seven or eight rushing touchdowns this year. We see the velocity with his throw. His accuracy has got a lot better since he came out of excuse me, Wisconsin, I believe. Come out of college, he wasn't the most accurate quarterback, but year in and year out, he already had a strong arm. We see that strike right there. But it's just about his accuracy and the fact that you can throw darts and 20 miles per hour wind in Buffalo and have 5 touchdowns and no interceptions, 5 total touchdowns and no interceptions against a Division foe in the New England Patriots on a Saturday night game in the playoffs, I might add, that's something special. That's something special. And for me, I just believe it's the Bills' time, man. I got the Bills and Packers making the Super Bowl this year. I don't know. I just think it might be the Bills' time, just like I feel like it's the Packers' time. I think when you match up the Bills versus the Kansas City Chiefs, obviously this weekend's game, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, I'll still give the nod to Patrick Mahomes because he's an MVP. He's a Super Bowl MVP. His resume speaks louder. But if we're talking about right now, I mean, it's kind of tough. You know, the only thing I believe with Josh Allen, again, I keep emphasizing turnovers for these teams if they want to win the game, and we know that with football or any other sport. But particularly when it comes in the playoffs, because when you make these are really good teams, obviously. These are the top 8 teams, like I said, coming into the show. So when you have turnovers and turnovers and turnovers, or if you just have 2 turnovers, maybe possibly even one in the wrong moment, that's a loss. Look at that dart. Boom to Stephon Diggs. I also had him on my fantasy team. I had a lot of the Buffalo Bills on my fantasy team, but but yeah, so when it comes towards Josh Allen, it's just not making that silly mistake. Because again, he has 15 interceptions. He lost about 3 to 4 fumbles this year. So Josh Allen is prone to kind of making some silly mistakes, in some opportune times. And, he didn't do that last week. Obviously, as we see here against the New England Patriots, 5 total touchdowns, no fumbles, no interceptions. Every possession that he had, they had 7 straight touchdowns. That's amazing. Again, another bomb to Emmanuel Sanders right there, which is also another weapon that the Buffalo Bills have. But for them to win the game against the Kansas City Chiefs, they got to continue. It's going to be a shootout. It's going to be a shootout. That's why fans love this game. That's why it's going to be on a Sunday night broadcast. They saved the best for last. And yeah, so I got the Bills winning this one. I just think when push comes to shove, they're going to find a way to win. They already beat this team in the regular season this year, and that was a shootout as well. I mean, they beat them convincingly by 2 scores. So when it comes towards this game, I don't know. I just think the Bills will find a way to win in Kansas City. I think the Bills have arrived. If you could beat the Kansas City Chiefs, I believe you could definitely beat the Tennessee Titans or the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, this pretty much is the rematch from the AFC Championship game of last year. Again, Dawson Knox had him on my fantasy team as well. You see why I made it to the fantasy Super Bowl. But I'm gonna stop talking about my team, because we end up losing anyway. But again, when it comes towards the Bills, man, Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes, I'm excited for this matchup. This should definitely be this is definitely must see TV. I'm excited to see it. And I'm gonna go ahead and look at the comments. I'm done with talking about the game. So just to revisit, I got the Titans over the Bengals, the Rams over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the 49ers losing to the Green Bay Packers at home at Green Bay, and also the Buffalo Bills beating the Kansas City Chiefs in a shootout. So I'm gonna go and check the comments, see if you guys have anything else to say, and we'll go from there. What was my 4 picks of the week? So basically, again, like I said, I got the Titans beating the Bengals. I have the Los Angeles Rams beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Green Bay Packers defeating the San Francisco 49ers, and also the Buffalo Bills defeating the Chiefs. So all that being said, if you guys have any other comments or anything else you wanted to add, I'll be happy to answer it. Again, I love talking NFL football. If you want to talk about basketball as well or something that's off topic for football, I'll answer that as well. I don't mind it. And and yeah, we'll go from there. So other than that, guys, hopefully you guys have a blessed year. Continue to strive. Like I always say, if you're alive, I believe God still has his purpose for you. So continue to reach your goals, continue to do what you need to do, and always speak up. Speak up for what's true, speak up for what's right, and do with all your might. All right. I don't know. That just came out the top of my head. I can rhyme a little bit like that, but we'll say that for later. All that being said, guys, have a blessed night.